This is Horizon Global, where the future meets the facts.
Thank you. I am your Jasmine Manuel, and in this segment, we'll take a closer look at the evolving understanding of food security. When global leaders gathered at the 1974 World Food Conference, the concept of food security had a simple goal. This was to ensure that there was enough food available worldwide to meet the basic caloric needs. But that definition, focused thoroughly on availability, proved insufficient. By the 1980s, economists like Nobel laureate Amartya Sen has transformed this conversation. Sen demonstrated that people can go hungry not because food is unavailable, but because they can access or afford it. This shifted food security from being purely about supply to being deeply connected to the issues of income, inequality, and social access. Today, food security is understood as a multidimensional challenge. It includes 5 essential elements. First is availability. Is there enough food available? Second is access. Can people afford and reach it? Third, utilization. Can the body absorb the nutrients? Fourth, stability. Are supplies reliable? Fifth, preferences. Does the food align with cultural and dietary needs? Understanding these pillars is key to addressing modern hunger. Because in our world, it's not just about growing more food. It's about getting the right food to the right people at the right time, in the right way.
And one of the greatest stress tests of these pillars came during the food price crisis of the 21st century. Between 2007 and 2008, the FAO Food Price Index more than doubled, marking one of the sharpest increases in modern history. The reasons were complex. High oil prices drove up transportation and fertilizer costs. Global food reserves were dangerously low, and some countries, fearing shortage, imposed export bans on key staples like rice and wheat. The result was a domino effect of market panic, hoarding, and rapidly rising costs. For the world's poorest family, who often spend up to 70% of their income on food, this was devastating. Many were forced to cut back on both the quality and quantity of their diets. Others pulled children from school or skipped medical care to afford basic meals. These coping strategies deepen poverty and fuel long-term inequality. Then, in 2010 and 2011, the world faced another surge in food prices. This time, contributing factors included extreme weather in major agricultural regions like Russia and Australia, as well as increasing global demand, especially from fast-growing economies in Asia. This back-to-back crisis exposed the fragility of our global food system. They sparked riots and protests in more than 30 countries, including Egypt, Haiti, and Bangladesh, highlighting just how closely food security is tied to political and social instability. Moving forward without stronger international safety nets and policies to stabilize prices, we risk repeating history. Climate change, conflict, and global economic volatility only add to this danger. If we are to build a resilient global food system, we must address both the root cause of hunger and the system that allow economic shocks to become humanitarian crises.
I am Maria Jasmine Manuel, and in this segment, we uncover 3 major forces driving food insecurity: rising prices, poverty, and urbanization. Since 2007, global food prices have become increasingly volatile. By 2008 and 2011, price spikes led to food riots in over 30 countries. And these weren't just economic events, they were social shocks. When food becomes unaffordable, the poorest suffer first and the hardest. At the same time, rapid urban growth is straining food supply chains. over half of the world's population now lives in urban cities, and many in informal settlements with poor access to nutritious food. This creates a vicious cycle. Poverty limits food access, and poor diets deepen poverty. Thus, breaking this cycle requires both economic reform and targeted food policies.
Isang taon pa lang ako, nasundan na ni Toto. Grade 2, 8 taon pa lang, 4 na bata ang inaalagaan. Grade 6, 12 na ako, kasing dami na ng pamilya ko. Sabi mo, pasensya na, walang pera kaya mag-drop out ka. Inakup, sabi mo kami mahal nyo. Ari ko pati kayo nagplano. Sana hindi gutom at nag-aaral pa. Alaga't malisog ang buong pamilya.
Ang planadong buhay ay maayos na buhay.
I'm Johnny Chicero, and this segment explores how changing incomes and energy needs are transforming food systems in unexpected ways. As countries grow wealthier, especially in Asia, people shift from grain-based diets to more meat, dairy, and processed foods. But livestock production requires more land, water, and energy. For example, producing 1 kilogram of beef takes up to 15,000 liters of water, far more than grains or vegetables. At the same time, more farmland is being used to grow crops for fuel, not food. In the US, nearly 40% of corn is now used for ethanol production. This raises questions. Should we grow energy crops while millions are hungry? Balancing these demands is one of today's greatest policy changes.
I'm Evan, and in this final segment, we focus on how climate change is putting the global food supply at risk. Rising temperatures, shifting rainfall patterns, and more extreme weather are already reducing yields of key crops like wheat, rice, and maize, especially in Africa and South Asia. According to the IPCC, a 2 to 3 degrees Celsius temperature rise could reduce yields in some regions by up to 30%, even as global food demand increases. These changes hit the poorest, hardest smallholder farmers who produce much of the world's food, often lack the resource to adapt. Adaptation measures such as drought-resistant crops, smarter irrigation, and climate policy are essential to safeguard to the future of food. Thank you again for joining us for this series for the challenge of the feeding of the world. The path forward complex, but with innovation.
Ito po.
Ito na.
So,
Okay, basahin natin.
Sige.
Alright, so ito ang 49.73% of the election returns, partial and unofficial, from the COMELEC media server. Nangunguna po Bongo, 16,849,762 votes. Bam Aquino, pangalawa, 13,938,964 votes.
Okay. Sige, so Bato de la Rosa, nasa ikatlo. 12,804,689. Si Erwin Tulfo, nasa 11,003,418 at kabayan.
Oh, si Kiko Pangilinan at 10,178,632.
Okay, so tandaan po natin,
Meron pa.
ano to, halos 50% na to ng election returns. Ping Lacson, 9,915,000 and one vote. Tito Soto, pang-pito, 9,765,212 votes.
Okay, si Rodante Marcoleta, ikawalo, nasa 9.6 million po ang natanggap na boto. Si Pia Cayetano, nasa ikasyam na pwesto, 9.45 million. Okay,
Camille Villar, 8,558,912.
O, yung last two.
Yan.
Okay, Amy Marcos, 8,495,981 votes. Number 11 yan. Ikalabing dalawa, Lito Lapid, 8,476,235. Number 13, Ben Tulfo, 7,859,796.
Si Bong Revilla ay 7,584,410. Si Avi Binay ay 7,560,651.
Sige. Paalala lang po natin sa ating po mga tagapanood at ito po ay base sa Comelec Media Server na may 49.73 po na election returns no, na pumapasok. Yung oras po na yun, 8:44 p.m. Okay.
8:44.
So halos kalahati na po ito.
Halos, okay.
Kalahati na po ito ng boto. Pero hindi natin alam kung saan nanggaling ito.
Hindi nila
Oo,
sinasabi.
hindi natin alam. Galing ba itong Visayas? O ang Mindanao, pumasok na po ba? Lahat ba ito ay NCR?
Malalaman ba namin yung Commissioner?
Malalaman
May
nyo.
breakdown din.
Hindi, pero makikita nyo naman yung mga pumapasok ang election returns kada rehiyon eh. So,
So may breakdown din.
Yeah,
Pwede
but this,
makita.
I'd like to stress, this is an unofficial.
Unofficial.
Yeah.
Partial and unofficial.
Kasi
Okay.
kami ho, as the National Board of Canvassers, na magka-canvass ng senatorial results.
And party list.
Opo, and party.
Why
Secure this national challenge of life. It's a challenge of justice, resilience, and global cooperation. For changing right ways,